Do you have questions concerning planning a Disney trip? Ask them live on the show or submit them on our website at patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning. Hey, what's going on? It's Matt with the DPI podcast. New show. Some segments of the old show. We're still going to have a new segment. We're still going to have a top three. But we start tonight the DPI deep dive section, and it's going to be a ton of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. So stick with me. It's going to be a great show. Be back in a minute. Hi, I'm Matt. Welcome to Disney Planning Insights. Through creative content and live shows, we explain the hidden details of the Disney experience so that our clients can execute memorable adventures. Together with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel, we have helped hundreds of clients plan, book, and prepare for magical Disney vacations. Let our experience help you avoid common planning mistakes and maximize the enjoyment on your next Disney trip. Hey, what's going on? It's Matt with the DPI podcast. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Like I said in the soft opening, a new segment debuts tonight. We are going to go and start the DPI deep dive tonight. I've got Peter with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel. We're going to talk some news. We're going to do a top three, and then stick around. About a half hour in, probably around 7:45-ish, we will get to the DPI deep dive. Just like we do with the top three right now, we are going to make sure that that is a standalone segment. So it'll be a standalone podcast. It will be a standalone YouTube segment. And on the YouTube side, we are going to do some back-end editing with some of the B-roll, some of the A-roll, some of the stuff that we've taken from the parks over the last few years. So definitely want to check that out on the post-production side as well. So yeah, going to be really cool, really cool. So I know Peter rushed home tonight. We are going to get into the news, so let me go ahead and bring him on. Mr. Salvadori, how you doing tonight?
Hey.
Hey, no playing with your Wookiee off screen.
I'm good. I had a long day. Chewie was consoling me.
There you go. So news-wise, man, I don't know that we've got a ton of news this week.
There's another bear today.
There was another bear today?
In Epcot.
I didn't see that. I'm still like locked out of the Disney Insights Twitter page, so it has been quite the battle so far. Let's see here. Disney Animation Studios released some new photographs of what Wish is actually going to look like. People were kind of concerned at the compressed images that were being put up on YouTube. It looks a lot better. It's going to be a really good looking movie, I think. Excited to see it. I'm more excited for Once Upon a Studio, but we'll get that next week or in 2 weeks.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So I read more into the article. There is a bear in Epcot because today was the day that you could officially start meeting Winnie the Pooh in Christopher Robin's bedroom in the UK pavilion. So there is a bear in Epcot.
So you were had.
Winnie the Pooh. I did know that Winnie the Pooh was coming back. I did not realize it was today. So there you go. There's some news for you.
There you go.
Can now, in the back of UK Pavilion, you can now meet Winnie the Pooh in Christopher Robin's bedroom again. That is back. Hasn't been back since COVID. So that's pretty easy.
Yeah. Start finish line locations have been announced for the 2024 Disneyland Half Marathon weekend. The 5K is going to start in Disneyland Park. 10K start and finish on Disney Way. Kids races are going to be on Disney Way. Half marathon on Disney Way. I don't think there's a whole lot to that. Epcot Forever's last showing in 2023 will be on December the 4th. Luminous, A Symphony of Us will debut at Epcot on December 5th. I know that you are kind of torn that we're losing Epcot Forever, one of your favorite Epcot shows of all time. But it is fake news.
Yeah, I'm excited for Luminous.
I am too. Did you check out the football game in Andy's room over the weekend?
So my kids had a swim meet on Sunday morning, so unfortunately I was unable to tune in. But I saw some stuff from it. It looked pretty cool, albeit slightly laggy. But
yeah,
for the most part, it was pretty cool.
It might have been slightly laggy, but if you weren't watching the game side by side, you didn't know it was a little laggy. And my favorite meme of the whole event, and it was done well. Duke Kaboom did a halftime show. I mean, it was done well. But somebody said,
Canada.
There is no worse feeling than getting a penalty and watching Slinky Dog back that ass up to mark the line of scrimmage, which is awesome because Slinky Dog was the chain, and it was awesome. So, yeah, no, they did a good job. I hope they do more of it. You know, one thing that Shannon had said was when the regular game would go to commercials, the animated game would do like trivia, and it was very like intro to football trivia and historical facts about the game trivia and that kind of stuff, which was really, really cool. There were all different kinds of levels of the trivia that they did with, you know, maybe a small 30-second commercial or something packed in there. But they'd usually have 3 or 4 different trivia questions between each in each commercial break. So it worked out really well. Disney Cruise Line, the forward funnel has arrived for the Disney Treasure at the Papenburg, Germany, Meyer Werft shipyard. That's always a cool thing to see these pieces move in, because it's like a big Lego set, basically, that they put these things together in pieces. So it's really cool how it all goes together.
Yeah, I really enjoyed when we were at D23 a few weeks ago. There was a cruise panel, and you and I kind of got there, and one of the managers of that Germany shipyard was there, and he was talking about how, like, basically his crew will, like, ask to be on the Disney one, because the Disney one is done to this, like, whole other level and compared to all the other cruise ships that they do in terms of just kind of the nuance of even as little as like these massive curved metal pieces. All the other cruise lines minimize those, but the Disney cruise lines will just like throw in these massive curved metal pieces, which are, you know, tough to fabricate and expensive, just for fun.
Yeah,
basically. So it was cool hearing his perspective. And yeah, then they showed us like a video of the making of the latest cruise ship, and it was really cool, kind of like watching part of it go out and then part of it come in and then go out to the wet dock and then come back into the dry dock, and just it was really, really cool to kind of just watch the ship take shape.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there is a documentary on the Wish on Disney Plus, which is really, really good because it goes through kind of the storyline is everything that happens from the time it leaves the shipyard in Germany to the time that it gets to Port Canaveral. And that was kind of the timeline they were on, but they were showing everything as it was being built and that kind of stuff. And it's a really well done documentary. So if you're interested in that cruise ship building process, they do a really good job in that documentary, going over that. Elemental arrived on Disney Plus on September 13th, has more than 60 million views already.
We're 240,000 of them.
Have you watched it a couple times?
More than a couple.
We've watched it once. I thought it was good.
I enjoyed it. I am a big fan of Elemental. Yeah. Big fan.
It has far surpassed The Little Mermaid and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 for the same periods of availability. It has dropped and been super successful, and it just shows how bad Disney and Pixar promoted it leading up to the theater release, because that was a terrible release.
Yeah, but it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it is. It is a good movie.
It was a terrible release, but it held in the theaters for months and months and months. So it was just like sort of one of those just persistent things that it just kept like this slow burn, almost is the best way to put it, versus this like crazy demand and then fizzle like most movies. It was just this sort of like, it just kept bringing in a decent amount of money that made it worth leaving in the theater for a bit longer and a bit longer and a bit longer and a bit longer.
Yep. 60 million views now. That's pretty stout on Disney Plus. Disney Plus this week, you got a couple of things happening. You've got the final episode of season 1 of Ahsoka that releases tonight. Because we'll watch
today, Tuesday. It should release on Tuesdays.
Yeah, so it releases at 9 o'clock tonight Eastern. So we'll watch it tomorrow, and then Loki season 2 premieres Thursday night, and we'll watch it Friday. So we are rewatching Loki season 1 just to get caught up, and it amazes me how good that show was, going back and understanding a little bit more through Guardians 3 and Quantumania. Those two movies really tie into Loki really well. So it's worth going back and having that rewatch if you've seen those two movies. I'm just saying. Disney's going to discuss full year and fourth quarter 2023 financial results on Wednesday, November 8th. They run their year a little bit different than like a normal person. Their October is the beginning of the year. October 1st is the beginning of their fiscal year. So so they run. Yeah, they run a quarter ahead, basically, or a quarter behind, however you look at it.
But that totally makes sense, because October 1st is kind of an important day.
Yeah. So so they're going to have their financial call on November 8th. We will have full details on that the following Tuesday, which will be November the 14th.
Ooh, speaking of that, we are only a couple of weeks away from the official 100th anniversary of Walt Disney Production Studios, and our speculated day that Once Upon a Studio is available on Disney Plus.
Yeah, well, it's going to release. It's going to be on the ABC special on October 15th.
Yep.
So.
But then it's got to be on Disney Plus the very next day.
I would imagine so, but they're releasing it as a trailer for or a tag along to Wish as well. So they may leave it off until Wish releases Thanksgiving.
No.
I know.
Like, whenever I'm having a bad day, I'm just going to watch that so that I can just, like, ugly cry.
Yeah, you can just cry it out.
Through my catharsis, and then just, like, get back to life.
Make yourself like your marshmallow vodka or whatever else, what you're drinking, and root beer vodka.
Vanilla.
Yeah. And ugly cry to Once Upon a Studio, and...
Okay. It's like a Not Your Father's that you don't have to spend $12 per six-pack on.
There you go.
And we need, besides Disney, Starbucks, we're going to need you guys to start sending us royalties or something, okay? Because I drink out of one of these cups every week on this show, and I haven't seen a lick of royalty for our advertisement.
Well, my whole thing tonight was to try and get Elon Musk on the other screen and just ask him why I'm still suspended. I mean,
how'd that work? Did you reach out to him?
I haven't, but I just figured, obviously he listens. He's one of the tens and tens of people that watches this show live. So I figured he could just like hit us up in the comments and just say, hey, here's a link to find me and I'll jump on the show.
Speaking of that, hardly anybody watches us for the news. Time to get into our top 3.
Yeah. I think I'm with you here. So it's time for top 3. Business trip.
Did the people move around?
It does tingle a little bit. I'm here, I swear.
A magic trick.
Whew.
Is the intro over?
The intro's over.
Oh.
That was quick. I had to get my water. I was parched. Hey everybody, it's Matt with the DPI podcast. I got Peter on the other side, and it is top 3 time. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. If you haven't been here, we're going to randomly draw a category out of a bag of poker chips, and we are going to have about 20 seconds to figure out our top 3 or bottom 3 for that category. This week, it's kind of nice because I'm not going to pull a chip out.
No! That means he's got a moment to think about it. This is an unfair advantage.
No, this was predetermined, and you have a moment to think about it as well because you were the one that brought it up last week that we didn't do it. We are doing our top 3 disappointments from D23.
Yeah.
You knew it was coming.
I did.
It's time to think.
Do you want to go to Disney? Contact me at Princess of the Mouse Travel, and I'd love to work with you on your amazing itineraries.
All right, we're back. So tonight's category is the top 3 disappointments from 2023, Destination D23, that Peter and I were lucky enough to go to this year. Peter, I'll let you go ahead and start with your number 3 disappointment.
And then we have a joint number 1 disappointment.
We do.
Just like our top, where we both skipped our true top to then put in our number 1.
Yes.
So
Yes.
We have a joint number 1 complaint, but not complaint, but it's not really a complaint. It's just hey, I wish there was, maybe a little bit more. So this is not necessarily on my end, but this is just what I heard from a lot of people at D23. So Saturday and Sunday, the break when there was lunch was poorly planned because you're going to have a couple thousand people all at one time want to utilize the quick service restaurants, the reservation restaurants, and all of that stuff there at the Contemporary Resort. And from what I heard, now Matt and I on Saturday had reservation in Magic Kingdom over at Skipper Canteen because we had park tickets for that day. And then Sunday, we had reservations over at Chef Art Smith, so we bailed a little early to get over to Disney Springs. So this did not directly impact me, but I heard a lot of D23 goers talking about how they were disappointed that it just wasn't thought through. Now, granted, there was this sort of like a la carte buffet out under the awning just outside the convention center. There was a bunch of tables set up, and I kind of mentioned this, like you could go up and you could grab your stuff and then go over to a cash register and pay for it. But when people wanted something a little bit better, maybe a little bit more substantial than just the stuff off of that buffet line, people were trying to like get quick service orders on mobile order at some of the little places there at Contemporary. And some people said at like 10 a.m. they were trying, and the earliest arrival window was like 3 p.m. What am I supposed to do about that if my goal is to view all these panels and be fully immersed and involved in D23? So the choices were either like just have kind of the burger wrap stuff in that buffet line, or not really anything else, because it just, I don't know, whether through staffing or whatever else, maybe it just wasn't planned as well as it could have been for food for people during that lunch break. So that's going to be my number 3 logistic kind of thing that could have been done a little bit better. Matt, what is your number 3 over at D23?
My number 3 is going to be a logistical thing as well, because when we got there, we asked a lot of people about special event buses, and nobody knew what the hell we were talking about. It's like they ran this event without letting the staff know, hey, we're going to have 5,000 people here for this event, and they may be staying at your hotel. This might be a question that you get. Here's how you answer it. But there weren't special event buses, and if you didn't want to take an Uber or a Lyft to the Contemporary, to get there you had to bus into Magic Kingdom or bus to another park and then bus into the Contemporary to get to this event. And one of the issues that I had with that was when you bus into Magic Kingdom, you had to go in through security. So I would hit security into Magic Kingdom to get to the path to go to the Contemporary, or I'd hit security at the Ticket and Transportation Center to get onto the monorail. And then when we left the event, I would go through security again to get to the park or to get to transportation. And it was just kind of a pain in the ass that they just didn't have a bus that said, hey, this bus is for Pop Century, Art of Animation, Caribbean Beach. And just run a circuit bus at the beginning of the event and at the end of the event. It just made getting to and from the Contemporary kind of a pain in the ass. And it was frustrating.
Well, and on that topic, I heard, just to that point, like the Ubers were being rerouted. Any Uber that asked for Contemporary was being rerouted to Ticket and Transportation Center as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you were having to go through security. So if you were carrying any sort of camera equipment, if you were carrying the bag that they gave you as part of the event, you were probably getting stopped. So it was kind of a pain in the ass, and that was one of my biggest frustrations with the entire event, was just how do we get there for a 9:00 start when you have to get on a bus and you have to walk, from Magic Kingdom to the Contemporary or whatever. It was just kind of a pain. So that is my number 3. Peter, let's go ahead and get to our number 2s.
Yeah, so I'm going to actually kind of piggyback on what you just said. There was, I forget which day, it was Sunday. No, because we wouldn't have been getting on the monorail. Oh, it was Saturday, because we were park hopping over to Epcot. That's what it was. So Saturday, we got done, and you and I kind of bailed from the session 15 minutes early because we wanted to get a jump start on getting over to the Epcot event, because we had park tickets. But even if you didn't, like, the event was going to end, and then when you could get free entry to the park, as part of one of our top 3 awesome things was the Epcot event that they ran. And so Matt and I wanted to fully take advantage of that. And so leaving the Contemporary, the thing that makes the most sense to do is ride a short monorail ride to TTC and do a quick transfer over to the Epcot monorail to get over to Epcot from the Contemporary, which is what I have to imagine the vast majority of people, of D23 goers, did. And to get onto the monorail at Contemporary, you have to go through a very small security area. It is a single metal detector. It is a single, if not two-person operation beyond the metal detector to check bags, and then proceed up the escalator up to the platform. Well, as I said, we bailed a few minutes early. So we went through security, and while Matt was dealing with his security frustration that he just brought up, I mentioned to the security officer, I said, you all better get prepared because there's going to be probably somewhere around 1,000 people that are going to be coming through security here in the next 30 minutes to an hour. And the security guard was like, why? And I was like, because D23's going on downstairs. And she was like, it is? I go, yeah, and it's about to end, and they have a Epcot event for us. So there's 2,000 to 3,000 people downstairs, and I have to imagine at least half their transportation is probably going to feed through you. So you're going to get a big influx late in the day when the security staffing was clearly skeletoned.
Yeah.
Because there was like all of 2 people there behind that metal detector. And the look on this cast member's face was that of shock. And so to Matt's exact same point, how, if we know that Saturday we're going to allow people to go to Epcot for free for this big event that almost everybody is going to go to, how did we not let the most convenient, how did we not foresee the most convenient transportation option, which is to get on a monorail and then get on a second monorail, and therefore you have to go through, like, exactly, because the only other way to go there is to walk into Magic Kingdom, take a bus to maybe the resort you're staying at, and then either bus or Skyliner or boat to Epcot, depending on where you're staying for the event. So the thing that makes the most sense is to get on the monorail and then monorail over to Epcot. And these poor security people, while we were checking, while Matt's bag was getting checked, this security guard that I was talking to walked around, held the line, went and told, I believe, a supervisor, and then came back and thanked me for the information. Because I'm assuming supervisor probably sent out a, cancel all breaks, cancel all breaks. I don't know, it just didn't make sense to me. I was just sitting there like, we didn't plan that very well if we didn't disseminate this information along.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was. I think it goes to our first 2 points: that communication at the Contemporary and at the surrounding areas, security to Magic Kingdom, the other monorail resorts, and the TTC. They didn't know what was getting ready to happen,
and it's not like. Now, granted, like Contemporary has a convention center, right? There's conventions there all the time, but this convention is specifically Disney fanatics. So most other conventions, you know, the business people come in, they do their meetings, they do their breakouts, they do their trainings, they maybe go have a nice dinner up in California Grill, or maybe go down to Steakhouse 71, and then they get back in their shuttles, vans, buses, whatever, and probably go out to their Hiltons and their Drurys and whatever. Like, your convention is a several thousand Disney fanatics.
Yeah.
You're going to release them, and they're going to go Disney it up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was just, again, it was a lack of communication. And I think my number 2 might give you a little bit of insight onto why. Because my number 2 is, we got a pre-recorded message from Bob Iger.
Oh, that was on my, that was my, if it wasn't, but don't worry, I have another number 1.
that was frustrating. And not because I wanted to be in the same room as Bob Iger or anything like that, but it goes to the same point of you've got 5,000 people, say, that bought tickets, and we bought the cheaper tickets at like $350 a ticket. There were $700 tickets that were the front half of this convention center, and we get there and they open up the show with a pre-recorded message from Bob Iger. I mean, what, you couldn't jump on your jet, give us a 10-minute, hey, how you doing, thanks for coming, and then jump back on your jet and go wherever the hell you were?
You could be back in California by noon.
Exactly.
You could have come in the night before, said hi to us, and been back in California by noon.
As soon as that happened, I knew the event wasn't serious. As soon as that happened. We already had an idea of what we were running ourselves into because of how late everything was done. But that was kind of the nail in the coffin that said, yeah, this is a second-tier event this year. And it kind of pissed me off when that happened. Just, again, you pay for a lot of people, a lot of money to go to this event, and you already felt like it was over before it started. So, I guarantee next year when it's in Anaheim and they actually have a big event, because they're going to announce the expansion to Magic Kingdom, they're going to announce the expansion to Animal Kingdom, they're going to announce the Disney Forward project and what that Disneyland Forward project and what that looks like. It's going to be a big event, and his ass will be on that stage saying, look at us, look at how good we're doing. But when it was a second class event, he didn't even show up. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that one.
I'm just sitting here like somebody screaming at somebody at the dinner table.
Yeah, no, we're Disney fans, and that was really, really frustrating to have that happen. So, my number 2, Iger not showing up and just pre-recording a message and just saying, hey, yeah, thanks for helping us. And it was the 100th Disney Destination D23 100, and he doesn't even show up. Just, it was frustrating. Let's get to our number ones. Our number 1.5. Peter, before we get here, where can people find you?
Over on Facebook's the best place to find me. Princess of the Mouse Disney Travel. I would love to talk to you about your Disney vacation. This top 3 that we're doing doesn't exude come to Disney, but the rest of, again, we had a great time at D23. This entire episode is just us nitpicking some things for improvement. So in the event that, whoever might, Rob or Josh or Bob, whoever, you happen to stumble across this, here's some takeaways from some people that were there. We had an amazing time. But the rest of our trip was amazing. We spent some days in the parks. We went to the Not So Scary party. We had laughs until our sides hurt. I mean, we just had an amazing time down there. And I would love to help you plan your trip as well. 2024 is absolutely starting to get busy. I think I've booked 5 trips in the last few weeks. So I would love to help you get your 2024 ready to go as well. Never too early to start talking about 2025, but can't book that until about the middle of next year. So 2024, great deals through March, already available.
Yeah.
So, able to book people on 25% offs and 35% offs and dining cards and all sorts of little things depending on what services you have. So would love to talk to you. Back to the negative aspect of this episode. Oh yeah, maybe you don't find me on Facebook. So my number one and a half is everything took place in this grand hall. And it's kind of like Matt's topic of it was clearly a second class event, because basically versus having tons of speakers and tons of rooms and tons of options. There were no breakout rooms. There were no multiple sessions going on. The whole event consisted of 10, two of them being big events, the parks and the studios updates, where they gave us a lot of awesome stuff and a lot of awesome information. And then the rest of it was just panels. But normally at these D23s, you would expect to see like 3 to 5 panels happening concurrently, where you have to decide, oh, I'd like to go see that, or oh, I'd like to go see that, oh, I'd like to go see that. This whole thing was under 15 total panels versus a normal day. And on top of that, it's normally a Thursday through Sunday event. Matt and I booked Wednesday through Monday so that we could go full to the wall Thursday to Sunday D23. And it was pick up your stuff on Friday, show up Saturday for about 8 hours, show up Sunday for about 8 hours. No options, no selections, sit in the exact same room with all the people simultaneously. And just, if you want to be here, don't be here. Again, kind of what Matt's second gripe of just, it just wasn't a big convention. And for the price that you're paying for these tickets, like, I want options. I want lots of things. And yes, I know the writer's strike and the actor stuff and all that stuff contributed to it.
Hey.
Oh, my fault. But it's just, it was really frustrating that 2 days, no options, all in one grand hall of the Contemporary. Again, we had a great time at it, as I just said, but I don't know. I would have just liked I would have liked it be much, muchier, to quote Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. And okay, so my number one, I wanted you to pipe down. My number one was the exact same reason, but for a different, from a different angle. And it's the writer's strike and the actor's strike 100% impacted this event. 100%. The people that were there, that were the big names, were Broadway and were outside of the Actors Union.
Yeah, they were like Disney employees. Like, it was cool to like see the voice of Mickey Mouse and Goofy and all of that, and Minnie Mouse, but those people aren't like Disney actors, right? Those are like on the payroll people.
Exactly.
That weren't part of the striking system.
Exactly. And that played a big impact in how long it took for them to actually release the events and what panels they had. And I think that if that wouldn't have been going on, we might have had something more of what you were thinking it was going to be. And what I was thinking was going to be a longer, more intense, multiple panel. And in these panels, you would have had, Kevin Feige and Filoni and all those guys talking about what's coming up with Ahsoka and what's coming up with Loki and all that stuff. And instead we got the props guy, and we got the director of development, and it was the people that they could get without making the unions mad to talk about things.
I mean, it was still good. Again, like,
it was. I mean, it was cool to see Chopper
very, very cool
come out on stage, and it was cool to see the Muppets and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just want much. I just like it. It didn't have its muchness.
Yeah, so that's kind of. It was a perfect storm on. Everything just kind of made this event a lot smaller than it should have been for the 100th. There should have been a lot more. This should have been a huge announcement showcase. It should have been a huge, hey, we're bringing in all the Disney stars to do this, and you have The Rock at the Moana thing and all this BS. And it never could be that because of what was going on. So, I mean, The Rock's rapping his Maui part on College Game Day and not at D23.
Yeah, and that's that speaks to we didn't even get the lineup for everything until what, a week and a half before?
Yeah, it was maybe barely a month before.
See, I don't even feel like it was a month. Anyway, on to our joint shrew number one.
Yes.
Should I start or should you? We did not communicate about this, for the record. There was no question, hands down.
It was a bad situation that people.
So I'll start. You chime in, right?
Okay.
So Saturday, session 1 is supposed to be over at noon. Josh DeMauro comes in during the parks panel. A bunch of other people during that same parks panel. You're gonna get a blueprint of this cruise ship, and you're gonna get a map, like a rustic-looking map of the new key on the cruise lines, the lighthouse key, and you're gonna get this. It's just a bunch of stuff. You're gonna get a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
You're gonna get this and this and this and this and this. Yeah, you're gonna get this little wallet folio and just several prints and you're gonna get this little 4-frame Mickey, all just stuff. No, that was in our backpack. Sorry, I digress. So you're gonna get, boom. It was like that. It was like Oprah show. It was the exciting give stuff away Oprah show. You're gonna get one of those, and everybody in the audience is gonna get one of those, and everybody in the audience is gonna get one of those. And then there was a small break after the parks panel before 3 more panels. And so everybody left the hall going, hey, where's that stuff that we got promised? And they go, oh, we're going to give it out at lunch break. Okay, you'll give it out at lunch break. Totally fine. So then we try to leave at 11:50. Again, it's supposed to end at noon. The tables are set up. The people are standing there. Everything's ready to be handed out. And we're told, no, you have to be in the room at noon. We'll go, okay, fine. Our reservation's not till 12:35. It tightens our timeline a little bit, but okay. So now you've got hundreds of people packing the walls next to this exit. And then noon hits. Matt, you want to take it from here?
So noon hits, and they're still talking. So they're doing this cold read, which was fun, but
mildly racist.
But they're doing this cold read. So it's the actor from Coco. It's
Anthony Gonzalez, who is Miguel in Coco, and then a bunch of these other people. And the parts that they had him read were
typecast.
Exactly. Yeah, they typecasted him into this cold read. But anyway, all right. Yeah. So this cold read is going on.
Yeah. This cold read's going on, and there's people hey, it's noon. Can we leave? We've got reservations. We've got food that we're picking up. We've got stuff that we need to do. And they're like, you can leave, but you can't get the stuff. We've got to keep you in here until this is done. So people just keep gathering around these doors. And we were there the whole last panel, basically, standing against that wall. So the last 40 minutes standing against that wall. And people keep crushing in and crushing in and crushing in. And now we're at fire hazard level. They're trying to maintain aisleways. They're yelling at people that are standing there. There's nowhere for anybody to go. Everybody's wanting to leave at this point, and you're basically holding us in the doors for a couple of pieces of memorabilia.
But not even in the doors, right? Because people kept coming into the doorway, and security and this one lady, I wish I remember her name.
Let's just call her Karen.
I would love to name drop her here just in case anybody from Disney did eventually hear this episode. But this woman who was clearly in charge was on the trip of all power trips
Yes.
about not letting us out until everything of this panel had stopped. And there's people on the phone with dining going, I'm not going to make my dining reservation. They're holding me hostage for several pieces of memorabilia. Like, people are packing in front of the door. Security's going, this is a fire hazard. You're going to get us shut down. And we're like, it's freaking 12:15. We're a fire hazard because you're holding us hostage.
Yeah.
Like,
It was crazy. And
I get, according to my own free will, I could have left. But 4 hours ago, I was titillated by these promises. And now I'm being told, hold on, it's not done yet.
I'm looking at D23's website right now just because I wanted to see when the article was that they announced all the panels. But they have basically erased this event from the website. They're like, on to next year. Piss off.
But anyway, so that was by far our joint number one.
Yeah.
We were basically held hostage for about 4 pieces of memorabilia, 20 minutes behind the published time before they finally said, oh, okay, we're going to let you go. It was like that scene from The Office when Michael kidnaps the pizza delivery guy. And then, like, same result, right? They, like, hold us here against our will. And then just, like nothing happened. They're like, okay, you can go.
Well, and it set off of a chain of events, too. I don't think it would have been bad.
The panel still wasn't over.
Yeah. So they let us out. We get our stuff. We get to Magic Kingdom. We're like, trying to fly to get to this reservation. We get stopped by the parade. Because the parade's on Main Street. We're stuck. We can't get through Town Square. So we're stuck there. It was comical, everything that happened at that point. And then we were like, do we really want to go back for the afternoon?
I know. Matt's like, well, I really want to go to this panel. I'm like, good for you. I'm afraid for my life if I step back into that room.
Yeah. All right. So that was top 3. Thanks for watching. Now it's time for our new segment, and I guarantee there's going to be some sort of technical issue with this. So
what a top 3.
Yeah. So here we go. It is time for the DPI deep dive. And this is going to be a little different. So we had talked about it. I'm going to do a single screen first, and then I'll bring you in. So like I said, there's always going to be some sort of technical difficulties. I'll re-record the intro, but we are doing Tusker House today, and Peter with Princess of the Mouse Disney Travel is with us, and he is going to start us off with, where is Tusker House located?
Sure. So Tusker House is a restaurant in Animal Kingdom, and specifically it is over in the Africa area of Animal Kingdom. And so if you have a reservation for Tusker House, you're going to want to come in, go across the bridge towards the Tree of Life, kind of head down that left pathway, and then as you head down that left pathway, take your immediate right, come up over a second bridge, and that'll bring you into the Africa area. And Tusker House is going to be on your left, very similar to Steve Rogers running past on your left.
On your left.
Yeah. So that is where Tusker House is. And again, so this is a restaurant in Animal Kingdom. And besides Yak and Yeti, this and Yak and Yeti are the two hardest reservations to get at Animal Kingdom for different reasons. But we'll talk a little bit more about why this one is so hard to get. So what else do we need to talk about with Tusker House, Matt, on this first edition of DPR3, which is like DPR3, because it could be a restaurant, a resort, or a ride.
Yeah, so I put up a map over on your screen to show where Tusker House is. It is in Africa, and you can see the bridge. Now, one thing that you want to notice about where this is located, it's kind of in behind Dawa Bar. So when you get into the Dawa Bar area, that the registration for Tusker House is actually in under that awning. So actually, don't go into the restaurant. The registration is actually outside of the restaurant. So definitely want to go there. So Tusker House, food-wise, offers a few different options depending on the meal. So let's start with breakfast, because that's kind of where my family's bread and butter is with Tusker House. And they offer a character breakfast there, which is fantastic. The character breakfast, you're going to get to meet Mickey and Donald and Goofy and Minnie. Daisy. Yeah, Daisy. And they are in their jungle safari attire. So they've got their safari hats on. They've usually got some leopard or cheetah pattern accessories on, that kind of thing. And they will accessorize a little bit more during the holidays as well. So you can check out their subtle differences in the costumes when you get into the Christmas season. The breakfast is a buffet style breakfast. Has a lot of your traditional fare, so you're going to have your eggs, you're going to have your toast, you're going to have stuff like that, but the toast is special because it's like a special bread where they've got designs in it, and you'll have like your pastries and that kind of stuff, and that's all well and good, but what makes this really fun is you have a whole other side of this buffet that is very traditional African fare. To where you've got some chicken dishes, and you've got some spicy potatoes, and you've got a lot of different options on this menu that if you are kind of done with the bacon and eggs breakfast, you have some options to let your taste buds go wild on. You've done this a few times. What are some of your favorites on that buffet, Peter?
Well, so you mentioned that, it's a character dining all day long, just to make sure that we clear that up. So you're going to meet characters whether you go breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You're going to meet those same 4 characters that Matt talked about. The breakfast, as he said, is more of that like traditional breakfast, but where this restaurant, I know I really like going for breakfast because I'm a big fan of a good big breakfast on a Disney day. It really sets you up for the rest of the day. But I feel like where this restaurant really shines is in its lunch and dinner menu. As Matt said, So on the kids side of things, super kid friendly. You're going to get your mac and cheese and your mashed potatoes and your corn dogs and your chicken nuggets and all of that stuff. But then on the other side of the buffet, you're going to get tandoori chicken, za'atar beef, different hummuses with different flavorings, chutneys, and all of this stuff that really, really hits to the African cuisine of it all. And so, as Matt said, there's kind of some of that inspiration kind of filters its way into the breakfast area. But if you want a really like full African inspired menu, you want to visit this place during lunch and dinner. Of course, during lunch and dinner, the price does increase a little bit. This restaurant, being a character meal, as we're kind of used to, comes off at $45 per adult and $29 per kid during breakfast, because breakfast food is a bit cheaper. But then that lunch and dinner does come off at $59 an adult and $38 per kid when you go for that lunch and that dinner menu. But if you're a fan of African cuisine, the African cuisine here is, with maybe the exception of Sana, this is the best African cuisine that you are going to get on Disney property. And it's in a buffet, so you don't have to worry about picking something off of a menu. Feel free to fill that plate with a small portion of every single dish. And so really, really fantastic food. And it's just fun to get the characters not in their standards. As Matt said, they're in safari gear, so they're all wearing their safari hats. They have little canteens of water. They're all wearing their greens and browns and all of that good stuff. And so it is a really, really fantastic restaurant, which is why it books up pretty quickly, because this is the only character dining experience in the Animal Kingdom. So if you are interested in character dining, you're not going to find character dining anywhere else in Animal Kingdom, which is why Tusker House does fill up very, very quickly on that 60-day out window. If you are booking Animal Kingdom at exactly 60 days out, count yourself lucky if a Tusker House is waiting for you.
Yeah, and I'm actually trying to book one right now just to see what the availability is, and I actually can't even get into the app right now, or on the website. I can't even get into the reservation system, so I don't know if we're having technical difficulties. But normally, you want to have it later in your trip. We tend to do Animal Kingdom on our getaway day or our last day before our getaway day, so it tends to be later in our trip anyway. But yeah, it's one of those reservations, especially for breakfast, that's going to fill up relatively fast. Lunch and dinner tend to string out a little bit longer, so if you are wanting to try the lunch or the dinner, you usually have a better chance at 60 days than you would think on that.
Yeah.
So
on that topic, so I did manage to pull it up. There is, at exactly 60 days out, which would be December 2nd, there's one breakfast option, and then there's plenty of lunch and dinner. And so breakfast is the real one where Tusker House really, really books up early. Because, again, it's that traditional breakfast fare, but you get these unique characters. And also, side note on that, just because of the timing of this filming, December 2nd is like a lull. And so if you hope to get this 60 days out during peak spring break time or over Christmas here in a few weeks, I bet you have even less availability than what you're seeing right now. Because December 2nd is definitely a lull. There is a lull from Thanksgiving until about December 17th, 18th, when the park's really, really busy back up heading into the holiday season. So,
all right, let's talk a little bit about strategy, where you put this meal in your day, and that kind of thing. You know, for my family, it's always a breakfast. So we're trying to get the earliest breakfast there that we can. And if we can't get the earliest breakfast, we're going to do a rope drop, ride Kilimanjaro safaris, and then come back to it so that we can get the animals in the morning. Kilimanjaro Safari is always better in the morning, so that's how we kind of plan our day, is around that. Now, with you liking to go for lunch and dinner, kind of how do you fit that into your day, since for a lot of people, Animal Kingdom's a half-day park?
So, first of all, what you just said is actually my preferred way to go to Tusker House. If I am going to go to Tusker House, exactly what you just said, I'm either going to try and book a crazy early to where... So, Animal Kingdom normally opens at 9 a.m. most days, which means early access 8:30, which means gates technically open between 8 and 8:15 so that you're riding stuff by 8:30. You can get Tusker House reservations right there at 8 a.m., which actually lets you, to the left-hand side of the gates, there will be a dining check-in queue where you can go in. They will scan that you have that reservation, and you can get sometimes 7:30s, but definitely 8:15, stuff like that. And as Matt said, great to kind of like walk into the park before the people. It's always really cool when you're the only one walking down any park entrance.
Yes.
As the park is like gearing up for the day. And so otherwise, absolutely exactly what Matt said. I'm looking for a 9 to 9:15 reservation. I'm going to get in there at 8:30. I'm going to ride Kilimanjaro Safari when the animals are up, getting fed, cool temperatures, no peak sun, and then versus later in the day when they're just going to be lounging around underneath their trees and rocks. So 100% what you just said is my absolute preferred way, because then I go on Kilimanjaro Safari, I have this amazing hearty breakfast, and now I'm either able to head to Pandora or Asia, depending on how I'm kind of aligning my day. If I go, though, right, like for the lunch and dinner, I'm aiming for a late lunch, early dinner, maybe somewhere around a 2 to 3:30 type of reservation, because I want to enjoy that delicious African cuisine. But if I get up and I get to that park at 8:30, 9 a.m., I'm done by 1:30. I'm catching the Nemo show, catching the last Lion King. Maybe I'm booking this reservation, kind of a Lion King at 1 and this reservation at 2. So I can kind of come out of Lion King. The exit for Lion King is you're walking by Tusker House as you exit Lion King.
Yeah.
And so great little tandem thing to do, kind of plan that midday show and then head into Tusker House. And then likely as I hit that 2 or 3 o'clock reservation, I'm finishing up Tusker House and then I'm heading out of the park to get onto a bus to whether I am getting back to my resort, because there's only one mode of transportation into Animal Kingdom. Even if you're staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, you're getting on a bus to get over to Animal Kingdom. So I'm getting on a bus to maybe head back to my resort for some pool time, maybe some freshening up before a night at Disney Springs, or I'm jumping on a park-to-park transfer bus because I have plans to go and check out the fireworks at Magic Kingdom, or the Fantasmic over at Hollywood Studios, or the fireworks over at Epcot. Because the one sad truth about Animal Kingdom is they really don't have a keep me there to dark draw. The Tree of Life lights up. There's 3D animation. There's bioluminescence over in Pandora. But once you see that, there's no reason to go back and see it again. There's nothing really drawing you, which Matt and I have speculated before. It would be great if they use drone technology to make something really amazing over there. They have the theater. They have the water area. Grab some of those stinking Epcot barges, which has now been dismantled, and have them in the back channel able to come in and make a nighttime show with drones and those fantastic video board barges. But they ripped them apart and threw them away. You should have made an Animal Kingdom show.
Yeah, yeah. So when we're thinking about this restaurant in terms of other restaurants in Animal Kingdom, we're talking about like Nomad, we're talking about Yak and Yeti. You know, if we jump into some of the quick services, you've got Satuli, you've got Flame Tree, and then you've got Rainforest Cafe in the front of the park. Where does this restaurant Where does this restaurant rank in kind of the hierarchy of restaurants at Animal Kingdom that you would tell clients to go to?
Depends if you're traveling by yourself or if you're traveling with a family. Family, this is probably number one, especially if you get that breakfast. Traveling with slightly older kids or more experienced Disney goers, such as my family, Yak and Yeti is our number one. Tusker House slides to kind of number two. Tiffin's, if you're a couple going, an older couple, Tiffin's is an unparalleled dining experience, but it is not kid friendly. Do not take a family to Tiffin's. You will be disappointed because it is not that the environment is not kid friendly. The menu is not kid friendly over at Tiffin's. You need some older kids, some more kind of refined palates in order to take on something like Tiffin's. And so I would say really solidly, but if I'm a couple, I'm probably not going to Tusker House unless I really love African cuisine.
Hey, what are you saying?
I just want to like be a little whimsy, right? So it kind of depends. Family with kids, number one. Family with older kids, probably number two for the sit down. Couples vacationing, probably like I'm even going to go to things like Satuli Canteen, Flame Tree Barbecue before I make a reservation over at Tusker House. It's probably going to slide to dining experience 5, 6, or 7 for me if I've got a couple going, unless they're like, oh my gosh, we really just want to like relive our childhood and have character experiences. Then it slides itself back up, but it's probably dining experience number 5 or 6 or 7 if I've got a couple going. But family number one.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I would rank it as well. You know, we'll talk about Satuli, we'll talk about Flame Tree, both really good quick service restaurants. We'll get the Yak and Yeti, Tiffin's, those types of places as well. So thank you guys all. This was our first deep dive, Peter. I think it went well, other than I guess I didn't have any audio in the intro. I will clean that up and on the post and get that released. So thank you for joining us tonight. We will be doing this every week that we do a show, which is basically every week. I think when I was going through the top threes, we've had 27 top threes this year already. So it's most weeks that we have a top 3, and it'll be basically for the rest of the year. So we should be good. So yeah, so awesome. You guys all have a good week, and we will talk to you next week. Bye now. Hey, we had Peter with Princess of the Mouse Disney Travel on. We had a top 3 talking about D23, and we did our first deep dive on Tusker House. If you're looking for us on social media, you can find us over on Facebook. The show page is at DPI Podcast. The travel page is at PATM Disney Travel. Don't try and find us on Twitter right now because our account is blocked and it sucks. Or you can find us over on YouTube, Disney Planning Insights Podcast. Thank you guys all for watching, listening, liking, sharing, all the things that you do to support the channel. You guys all have a great week.